my name is Professor Abhirup Chakrabarti, and I work in the area of business reconfiguration, which continues to be one of the most persistent puzzles in strategy. Consider that firms need to change in order to improve and survive, but this change is also one of the most disruptive phases in an organization's history. And what I do is I try to understand what they try to do and why they don't formulate the strategies that will help them often. And when they do formulate the appropriate strategies, why do they fail to achieve the kind of outcomes that they were looking for? So that's my core area of research. And it has a very fundamental place in the field of strategic management. This is an important question, and I get asked this a number of times as we progress through the recruitment in our PhD program in strategy. If you think about it, successful strategy scholars do three things. First, they come up with a very important and a real challenge to study. Second, they go in depth and they find out information about what we know about this challenge before they start designing a study. So the first two elements of becoming a researcher is asking the right question and finding out the conventional wisdom in the field. And this is where I think there's some element of skill involved, where you have to think deep enough in a question before you are able to speak to others and get their feedback. If you shift from one question to another very quickly, that's not a good strategy, because you're not able to justify for yourself whether your question might have been worth pursuing. Once you have a question, and underlying that question development is your skill for literature review, you have to spend a lot of time trying to understand what the field says about the question. And this is not just about reading a large number of papers and listing what these papers say, but synthesizing that information in the context of the question that you've asked. Finally, you need to be able to design a study that answers the puzzle that you've identified. And that involves not only heuristically designing or theoretically understanding how what you need to answer the puzzle, but also very patiently working through the data process. You need to be able to spend a lot of time on sampling, setting up your study, analyzing the data, interpreting patterns, reporting, and writing. So these are the skills. So I would summarize it as you need to be able to ask the right question, spend a lot of time thinking about the question you think is important to ask, know how to conduct a literature review smartly, in the sense you need to be able to read with a view of addressing a particular puzzle that you've identified, and then you need to be able to design a study for which you need to understand qualitative or quantitative methodology. You need to know the fundamental principles and how these methodologies are applied, and be very patient through the sampling, setting up of the study, the setting up of the protocol, and implementation of your study, and the data analysis and interpretation. It takes time, and this is what you're supposed to be able to commit to the program.